Happy Thursday of 2025 to my queens and kings around the globe. It's so wonderful to see so many familiar faces joining us this evening, this morning, this afternoon. It all depends upon your location. Thank you all for taking your time to be here. Whether you are turning in from near or far, we are thrilled to have you here to this special deep dive globally change live webinar. As you all know, before I ask our Dr. Derrick to play our signature tune, I want to take this opportunity to thank our Heavenly Father for bringing each and every one this evening. Thank you so much. King Dr. Derrick, could you please play our signature tune by our Shaderi? Thank you so much.
We are here, we are on passive, shining bright
Your next stop is ONPASSIVE.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
All right. Thank you so much, King Dr. Derrick. We really appreciate you playing this hour In It to Win It by Queen Lerato Shadare. Thank you so much, Queen Lerato. We really appreciate you and we love you. All right. As you all know, with this particular webinar, we always talk about a mindset. You guys know that mindset is very important. Our CEO loves the mindset. With the mindset, the reason of this mindset is because our lady here, she's going to teach us how to be ready, how to prepare us. Let's say when it comes to money, when you start receiving dollars, she wants you to know how you can prepare yourself to take care of yourself, make sure how you can handle that money. But today, she's going to say something different. Now, this our lady here, she is a brand ambassador. She is an inspirational speaker. She is also an entrepreneur and what? Talk show host. Guess what? If you look at her, you will not believe that she is a grandmother of 9 grandkids. Can you guys believe it? As we all know, she is a dedicated brand ambassador, or should I say an affiliate. She's always here. She loves ONPASSIVE, and she will do what it takes to make each and everyone happy. She always talk about health. But today, let me introduce her. Her name is Queen Jacqueline Warner. Welcome, Queen Jacqueline Warner.
Thank you so much, Queen Dr. Benny, the First Lady of ONPASSIVE. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And thank you, Dr. Derrick, for allowing us to have this platform where we can voice our opinion, we can empower each other, and of course, we can get our mind in the right place. So thank you so much. And I just want to say thanks to all the brand ambassadors, or better yet, like Queen Dr. Benny says, affiliates. Welcome you. And I thank you for your support. I thank you for showing up. And I thank you for being part of ONPASSIVE. Yes, tonight we're going to really not just talk about things that we probably don't have time to think about, or some of the things we probably never thought about, you know? And tonight is going to be, are we still not convinced? You know, after all the information I shared with you, all the information I shared with you on why we are sick, how never to get sick again, how people get, become fat, how to lose weight and keep it off, and how to read your food label. It's all about us becoming knowledgeable and taking control of our health, instead of being deceived and lied to because of greed and power. In Ephesians 6:12 clearly states, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, and against the rulers of darkness of this world, and against spiritual wickedness in high places. So just in case you're not convinced that it's all about profits and it's not about the health of the consumers or the health of our health, then here are some facts that will help us, that will clear our minds actually. And remember, we are all highly toxic, which leads to chronic disease and death. Now it's all about the money. It has been reported that the corporate corruption is worse than ever, or worse than ever before. And this corporate corruption can stem from various corporations, and they all work hand in hand. I don't have to go through the list because it's too many to even mention. So I'm going to start and give you some facts and try to get through this as quickly as possible because we have another presenter. Okay, the Associated Press reported that the drug companies are seeing that cancer is lucrative. And we can look around us, our friends, our neighbors, and even strangers. Every time you look around, somebody has cancer or have cancer. So the drug companies will make billions of dollars in profits by selling cancer medication. So they're not looking for a solution to the problem, or you could say to the epidemic, because before it was, we usually see the children of St. Luke with the cancer, but now it doesn't matter who you are. Cancer is lucrative, just like the drug companies wants it to be. And that's the main reason we're not hearing of a cure or research being done for cancer. The very first time I heard as a child in my grandmother's home on our little black and white television about the United States of America seeking a cure for cancer was by our late President Kennedy. So you know how long that was. Many years or decades ago. He stated that they were going to the moon to find a cure for cancer. Today, they are still going to the space, but no cure found as of this day for cancer. Also, there's no research being done of natural remedies that can actually cure cancer, which was reported by this article. So we're being deceived and lied to for decades in believing that they were actually looking out for our best interests and not their own. It was reported by the Wall Street Journal that pharmaceutical companies raised their prices at their will to increase profit. The insurance companies, along with the government, pay for the most expensive medication, not asking one question. So it's a done deal for the pharmaceutical companies at our expense. Even banking, oh my gosh, it's just bad. It's just bad. Even banking industry make profits. A law was passed in Congress allowing banks to use new and faster processing for clearing paper checks. This process helps the banking industry to walk away with $3 billion a year while costing us, the consumer, billions more because we do not have access to the money. Number two, the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, and the FTC, as well as TV, radio, and newspapers are suppressing and censoring information from us, from the public, from the consumers. Drug advertising is everywhere, but mainly seen on TV today. After ad. The majority of the time, the ads are misleading, but the Federal Trade Commission, which is FTC, have taken no action against the pharmaceutical companies for their false and misleading tactics in getting the consumer and taking their medications or drugs. We should ask ourselves a question. Why are there no advertisement of natural remedies, homeopathic products, vitamins, or even books? As you can see, the FTC is not for the consumer, but for the pharmaceutical companies. The mere fact is that there is no profit in natural remedies, and anyone bringing awareness of natural cures becomes a threat to the pharmaceutical tycoons. Just for example, our late Dr. Sebi, who had proven to heal 7 diseases in the New York Supreme Court, was a threat and was falsely imprisoned, carrying large sums of money, according to the news. A developer who had developed a natural cure for diabetes was offered $30 million not to market it. That is a threat to all involved. But we, the consumers, remain sick as we get sicker with a deadly cost. Vaccines. are loaded with poisons. And even if it does not affect us in the short term, what about the long term? Do we really know what those vaccines consist of? No, because we don't ask questions. We wait to be told, which never happens. Jehovah said, if we don't ask, we will not receive. Do you know that living in the suburbs is unhealthy? Well, Reuters report that living in the suburbs can actually make us sick because of the heavy amount of toxicity of a person ingests in a suburban living. Isn't that something? And all these things is things that they don't want us to know. Why we not only have to be concerned of the pollution of America, but also the pollution that drifts in from other countries, which was reported by the US today. It was reported by the Wall Street Journal that too many unproven drugs are being approved by the FDA. Dr. Lamel Lloyd, who served from 1995 to 1999 on the FDA advisory committee, stated that the FDA has lost their compass and forgotten who it is they are ultimately serving, and it's not us. Do you believe in the four basic food groups, the pyramid they call it? Well, let me inform you that these groups are actually invented by, promoted by, funded by the Dairy Association. And we are now learning that we should stay away from dairy. But yet, the Dairy Association is the one that invented this food pyramid that we that are young mothers with young babies, or even mothers with babies, go to these WIC programs, and that same pyramid is what they give us to follow, to go by. Well, let me inform you that these groups are actually invented. The food pyramid was put into effect by the government due to massive lobbying by the food industry themselves. The food pyramid has nothing to do with health or nutrition, but was designed to brainwash the consumer into eating a certain way for the benefits of the food industry. You know, look how we've been deceived and lied to. The FDA said on Wednesday that it's banning the use of red number 3, finally, a synthetic dye that gives food and drinks their bright red cherry color. The dye has been linked to thyroid cancer in rats over 3 decades ago. This dye can be found in candies, colored beverages, as well as some oral medicines and dietary supplements. What about the products on the shelves that contain the red dye, number 3? Do we have to wait for decades for the poison to be discovered when they have the documentation of all these poisonous chemicals at hand? Mm-mm-mm. In conclusion, this information I have shared is for our well being in all aspects of our lives, especially our health. Also, it is essential that we take charge and be knowledgeable of our surroundings, what we eat, drink, and the drugs we take on a daily basis. If something is bad, it's bad. And as you can see, we don't have nobody but Jehovah to trust and believe in. He is our creator and he wants everything good for us. But man, because of their greed and power, will destroy us at any and all costs. Jesus died for us, but man is making us a sacrifice. The FDA and the FTC has truly have sold their souls to the devil himself because of wealth. We have been brainwashed into believing in a system that is corrupted and out of control, and they will not stop at anything. Now is the time to take control and do what we know is right. And my name is Jacqueline Warner, and thank you for your listening ear. Finito for nada.
Oh my God. Queen JW, thank you so much for sharing this knowledge to all of us. I just want people to know why people, I should say brand ambassadors or affiliate should come and attend this deep dive, right? The reason for you guys coming here is to learn what is happening when it comes to your health. Health is very important. Remember, when you start making the money, and if you cannot take good care of your health, then you are nothing. You can just leave the world. Thank you so much, Queen JW, and you make us to understand that, well, I know that you quote the Bible, Ephesians, but you said that there's a lot of corruption. The corporate corruption, that they're working hand in hand. And the Press stated that cancer is what lubricated. Is that what you said? Unmute yourself, please.
Lucrative.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And you make us to understand that the FDA, the FTC, which is FTC is a Federal Trade Commission,
Yes.
the radio, TV radio, and the newspaper, they are advertising. Wow, why would they be advertising? I can't believe this. And that FTC, they're not even taking the pharmaceutical companies. They don't want to, to find them for what they are doing. And they're not doing any research, again, for natural remedy. Are you kidding me? And then, then you make us also to understand that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has banned the use of red dye number 3, which is in food and beverages. And for, some of our children, they will ingest all this. And this thing happened more than 30 years ago after scientists, they discovered the links of cancer in animals that the agency announced it Wednesday. Yeah, we're talking about the synthetic and the color addictive made from what? Petrol? Are you kidding me? From petroleum? For us, for the children to ingest, and for us to ingest, and we don't even know what is going on. My goodness, thank you so much, Queen JW.
You're welcome.
I would say extraordinary mindset. We appreciate you, and we pray that you will come back again next week to teach us more about health. Now,
yes, indeed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to find out from anyone, does anyone have any question? Raise your hands electronically if you have anything to say about this amazing topic. Well, let me say, and I just want to congratulate you again, because you make us to understand that no matter what is happening out there, because everybody, what they want is just money, 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 and they just want to kill us. But you make us to understand that Jehovah, God, is watching over us. Thank you, my sister. I appreciate
You're very welcome, Queen Dr. Benny.
All right. Thank you. Queen Rita said, this is a great information. Queen Jacqueline Warner, she said, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Queen Rita. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, you guys can keep writing it on the chat. If you cannot raise your hands, you can write it on the chat. So we do have a presenter for tonight. Do you guys know who she is? Well, this our lady. What I know about her is that she works at the Human Resource. She is a dedicated brand ambassador, or should I call her affiliate? And she wears, have you guys attended like the Dream Team? If you haven't, just come on Sunday. What I know about her is that she wears multiple hats. She will be the presenter. She will be a moderator. She will, she talks about the updates. She brings us more good information about the updates from Mr. Ash. she's always there for Queen Dr. Pat Ajongwe. Whenever Dr. Pat needs her, she's there. And guess what? With the updates, she works with King Dr. Derrick. I mean, I don't know. She's always here. She loves ONPASSIVE, just like I do. She is an educated woman, a God-fearing woman, of course. Very knowledgeable when it comes to everything. She's dedicated to do anything that she wants to do within this ONPASSIVE. But guess what? Do you guys want to know who she is? This lady always asks us questions. I hope she doesn't ask me questions today when it comes to her topic. Her name is Queen Kanla Rahel. She said her mother used to call her Rahel, even though it's Rachel, but she call her Rahel. I want each and everyone, those who are here, let us please welcome this astonishing woman, sister, a queen of mine, Queen Kanla Rahel. Proceed, please.
Oh my goodness, Queen, First Lady, the one and only Dr. Benny, the Benny. Oh my God, I am so humbled. That is the best introduction I've heard from the heart. This is New Year. I truly appreciate that. Thank you, my sister. It means a lot hearing that coming from my ONPASSIVE family and coming from my sister. So thank you so much. And indeed, I am a lady of many hearts. For some reason, that is just me. I would jump to it. Sometimes I will jump to it and fail. And then before I say, okay, no, this is not my lane. I better do something else. So thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be here with Deep Dive. For many of us who are here, some may have known that in the past, I had been attending Deep Dive until due to work conflicts, I reduced my participation, but that did not mean or still does not mean that I am not part of Deep Dive, because sometimes when I join, I will just be listening in the background. So Dr. D reached out and said, okay, can you come and present? And guess what? Again, I was about to say, oh, I am not ready. Oh, I don't know what to come and talk about. Dr. D said, whatever you want to talk about, just come and do something. And guess what? My unconscious mind and my unconscious bias kicked in immediately. And that was me beginning to say, oh no, oh, I am not ready. Oh, what am I going to talk? Oh, you see how instinctively, suddenly, you find yourself, you start giving a reason why not to do something without giving yourself even a minute to self-reflect. And by that, I had to catch myself. And then I said, Dr. D, let me look at my schedule. Let me see what I can do. If I am able to, if I come up with something, then I'm going to give you a call. And so finally, when I did that self-reflection and I said, New Year, that is one of my New Year decisions. Yes, 2024 was a good year, but how about making 2025 a good year? I may not be 100% active, participating, but guess what? I don't want either to be 100% away or 100% absent. So I need to do something. And by so doing, what am I projecting? What do I expect to be the outcome of that? Me being present, me participating, me showing up. That is me rising above that unconsciousness, that subconsciousness that was trying to tell me, no, you are still not ready, you cannot do it. Which brings me to our topic, our conversation for today, unconscious bias, and how we, either through our attitudes, our behaviors, in daily life, it's not far-fetched how we all relate to these things. Sometimes we are aware, sometimes we are not aware. Sometimes we do them intentionally, sometimes we don't even know that we are doing that. And so while I share my screen, that is the basis for our conversation today and our topic. I am going to plead with each person here present, each founder, affiliate. We all have something to say about this because I know in one form, shape, or another, you have experienced unconscious bias. Whether you are the one acting on it or it is someone doing it to you. So permit me share my screen. Do you see my screen? I know it's still showing everything, but let me move it to let's see. I want to reduce my screen to just one. Let me know when you see the full presentation, please. Okay, what do you see now?
We still seeing the flyer in front of your presentation.
Do you see the presenter's view as well?
Yes.
Okay, just a moment. Let me X out and do that one more time.
Okay. And then you can go to the second one. Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. That is great. Thank you. Okay, so that is where our conversation begins. And that is how I was able to come up with the topic for our conversation today. And I say, you know what? This could be very impactful for all of us at the beginning of the year. Whether it is us, what we do on a daily basis, or it is what is going to impact us at work. And so, to the next slide. We want to discover what is unconscious bias. Now, a very good question I would like to ask you. You don't have to answer it right now. We will get to the conversation section. But think about it and hold that or write it down. If you have a note, a pen, write it down somewhere. The question is, do we have bias? In the chat, you can say yes, no for now, but we will revisit it later. Do you have bias or do we have bias? Please indicate yes, no, yes, no. Let us all try to participate. And then the second question is, which are ours? Like sometimes we'll say, oh no, this one is me. I see myself in this. No, this one is not me.
Sister Kanla, what is bias?
We will get to the conversation. It is coming. Now, that is a question I have said we all should write it down. Let me know. Do you have an answer for me? What do you think is bias? In your own words or from your own understanding, what would you say it's bias? If anyone can respond to that before I proceed, let me know.
Hold on. I believe bias is prejudice, right? That you know, some people favor others. I believe
Okay.
that's the way I look at it. You know, let me say when you go to work, please forgive me, but when you go to work, there are certain people that color-wise, there is bias. I
Dr.
have to say
Benny.
it. But oh yes, but that is a fact. It's a fact.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Benny.
And again, fat. When you are too fat too. You know, like when you're going to think about it. If you want to go and become a model, right? As for me, I'm too short. They will not give me the job, right? But they will give it to a tall, skinny woman. That is bias to me. Am I right?
Okay, yes, which goes back to your response. It says is prejudice. Okay, other ways or other words you can use to define or describe or explain bias can be partiality, favoritism, unfairness, right? So think of those words: prejudice, partiality, favoritism, unfairness. So that is what bias means. So put together now unconscious bias. What does it say to you? I hope I answered your question. I don't know who asked the question. Dr. Benny. Who asked the question?
Brother
What is
King Kumaran. King Kumaran.
Okay, Kumaran. Yes.
Yeah.
Brother Kumaran, did I answer your question?
70%, but still confused.
Brother Kumaran. Another thing
Yeah,
about bias, or should I say prejudice, is as I talk about black and white, when you go to a job, when you're looking for a job, let me tell you the fact, they will choose a white person over a black person. Again, when it comes to Indians, hold on. When we're looking for a database administrators, Indians will not hire Africans. They will only hire their own Indian people to help them, let them get the job. That is bias. This should be 100% now for you to know.
Oh, okay, understood.
There you
Okay.
go, Queen Kanla.
All right. Yes. So thank you. And I'm glad you asked the question. So that is just an example of bias. And that is just one type of bias. There are many, and we are going to look at it. So at this point, help me to put together now unconscious bias. Put the two words together, unconscious bias. And what would it say to you? As you can see on the slides, it refers to the assumptions, the beliefs, the attitudes that we sometimes show, or sometimes we act on it, whether we realize it or not. And it always goes a long way to influence our lives, professionally and at home. And this can also, in another way, you can say, it can be favorable or unfavorable. I had earlier used another word, voluntary or involuntary, intentional or not. So it manifests in all of these different ways. So then the question becomes, how much of it are you aware? How can you be aware that at this moment in time, my actions are actually expressing bias towards someone? How do you get to know that at that moment? Subconsciously. And we all know that through our life's experiences, whether at home, individually, or as a family, or as a group, as a community, or even in the workplace, ONPASSIVE is no exception. If these biases are not addressed properly, the tendency is they lead to negative impact. They impact our lives, they impact the family, they impact the company we work with, they impact the work environment, or even your environment at home. That's why sometimes we may have situations where your workplace or your home is contingent on how you are, how you navigate some of these things. It can be toxic, it can be joyful, it can be happy, but it is all up to you. And so we can all make that effort to be able to deliberately, intentionally put in the effort to reduce some of these biases that surrounds us. We talked about different forms or different ways in which bias can express itself. Oh, believe me, it's a long list. We can never finish that list because it is subjective to every individual. How you experience it. Which type do you experience? So here you can see a few. This is not all. Gender, racial, age, weight. Dr. Benny just used weight as an example. Beauty, conformation, halo effect, stereotyping, authority, availability. And if I want to go further, let's look at it. How about age? How often do we show favoritism or do we show partiality with people that are way older than us? How often does it occur even between friends, in the family, and also in our professional lives, in our professional environment? I'm sure every one of us has a lived experience when it comes to age bias. How about name? Do you have a fun? In this case, not really, I will not say fun because bias, there is nothing fun about being biased. But when you look at it, name bias is such that you can omit somebody's name, you intentionally misspell it, or you pronounce it. Culture. Oh my, I'm thinking with this one, we can have a whole day's conversation and we will never finish it. How about our differences in culture? Where we come from, how we look, how we speak, what we speak, our ethnic languages, our belief systems, our religion, let alone gender, male, female, and how that is associated to the economic bias or economic gap between male and female. We can also talk about halo effect bias. Halo effect bias is when we develop overall positive expressions of someone because of one of their quality traits, right? As children, we all do that to our parents. I'm sure all of us, we love our parents. We develop that positive effect because of that one particular trait we love about them. We do that as well to our sisters, our brothers. Now, taking that out of the family, we see that consistently when we go to school, prestigious schools, or they're called Ivy League schools. We pay attention and focus on that positive trait, and we hold it close to our heart. And the tendency is we may overlook any other negative behavior associated to that individual. And so what is the opposite of halo effect bias? It is called Horn's effect bias. Now, this is when we do the opposite, a negative impression of someone because of that one particular trait or character or behavior about them, and we hold on to it. And we don't give them the opportunity, the chance to see the other side of them, the good side of them. Confirmation bias. We all, sometimes when we have conversations is, between a child and the mother or the parent, where sometimes we express it, say you're seeking for attention, right? You seek for attention. You seek for comfort. That is confirmation bias. Why do we do that? Sometimes we do that because we want our parents to affirm, to confirm our views. And it is in whether between you and your parents, between you and your brothers, between you and your mentor at work, in your work environment, we all have these that expresses itself between us in our daily relationships, in what we do. But do we realize that that is what is actually happening? So that is one form of unconscious bias, and we may fail to listen to alternative perspectives that someone may share with you. Affinity bias. Also, we can say this one is similarity. Two things looking alike. We have that tendency always to share the interest. You associate yourself more to the person that you look alike, or you feel both of you look alike. That is affinity bias. And sometimes it has its own negative impact. Idiosyncratic rater bias. Oh, this one. This is the one where we evaluate the performance of others, right? Where sometimes we always think we are the best. I am the one who knows all. Nobody knows beyond me. It's me and me alone. So I am the one to judge you. I am the one to evaluate you. I am the one to do appraisal for you. I want to evaluate you, not me. It is called idiosyncratic rota bias effect. And I'm sure each of us has a lived experience where this has happened. Someone evaluating you, trying to tell you who they think you are or who they believe they would want you to be, and not even give you the opportunity to present or to be yourself. Then we have sexual orientation bias, of course. That one, we hear it every day. Oh, sexual orientation. Is it homosexual, bisexual, LGBTQ? All of this sexual orientation that we are all choosing. Sometimes we tend to express biases while describing these groups of sexuality. Religious bias, it comes out in our religious practices, whether we know it, whether we realize it. I know sometimes we say religion, yes, some religious faiths believe that it is theirs that is the ultimate religion. Ours is the ultimate truth. Meanwhile, there are others that are struggling to even be recognized or be accepted as a religion. So, by us not listening to each other or understanding each other's religion or faith belief, we tend to express some of this religious bias without realizing that it is coming. We have contrast bias. This one is the judgment type. You compare and you contrast. Look at me, look at you. Look, my achievement, what have you done? Who are you? You judging people, whether it's based on their success, whether it's based on their gender, whether it's based on their race, whether it's based on their culture, whether it's based on their work. We have that tendency of expressing that judgment over other people. Whether it's you're out there with your business, oh my, yes, business comparison, my business is the best. So this is also one form. Status quo. This is where we make preferences to one form of things to another. For example, we say, okay, yep, I prefer my I prefer my beer cold. Somebody prefers their beer warm. I prefer my food warm. Somebody prefers their food hot. I prefer spicy food. Somebody will not like spicy food. You make preferences and you maintain, you remain that is what is good for you. And even in the presence of others around you, sometimes you tend to forget that you are among other people, you are in a different environment, you travel, or you may get to a new environment where you are not familiar, but the expectation is you still want things to be done the way you know or you like them to be done. And this usually results to some resistance to change, especially in workplaces. Have you ever had a supervisor or you meet a team that they only want things to be done the way they do it because they believe that their way is the best or is the better way? It has to be their way. Resisting change, resisting opening up to learning something new or something better, an alternative. Then we have authority bias. Yes, we will say authority bias when you begin to use that authority in a negative way, then you start expressing bias by leveraging that the authority you have over individuals or over your work environment, your business. Even in things that does not require you to exercise your authority, but you use it and you exert it, you exert that authority over people. And you fail to see that at that point, it has crossed that threshold of being your authority with good intention, and now it starts expressing itself as bias. Overconfidence, I'm sure we know about that. Perception bias. How do you perceive the next person close to you that you do not identify with? Right? You look at something and you draw your conclusions. And your conclusions are shaped by your life experiences. Your perception is shaped by your upbringing. Your perception is shaped by who you are, your identity as an individual. And so your perception can never be like the next person. Your environment, you were born, you were raised, can never be the same like another person, because all of these lived experiences put together is what shapes your perception, and that you carry with you consciously or unconsciously. And that is what you use to be able to engage in your life, in relationships, and sometimes you begin to use those perceptions in a biased way. Affect heuristic bias. This is the type that we rely on our emotions to make decisions. How you feel. Your emotions range from sad, happy, joy, moody, angry. So you rely on these emotions at one point in time, whether it's during the day, at work, your relationships, and everything we do. But sometimes we fail to see when it crosses that threshold, and then you start expressing them. It comes across as you being biased, but you don't tend to see it. And I remember, and sometimes you can remember when one person or two persons may have said to you, you're acting out of your emotions. Has anyone been told that at one point in time? I have. Or maybe you've been told before that set your emotions aside. Let us make decisions based on the facts, not your emotions. And so it is always good when you realize that you are at that point where your emotions are way taking over and you are beginning to express some bias in it, to take a step back and ensure that you can do better. So even with all of these other examples or all of these types I have talked about, the list is still not exhausted, because we can add many more to our list. Add more to your own list and reflect about it, think about it, and see how it impacts your life on a daily basis. And you see how with some of these, you can be able to use it as we begin this year, 2024, within our ONPASSIVE business, this family that we all have found, our relationships within our families and within our community. So I would like us at this point to share not only our life experiences that you have, I would say your life experiences, whether it's within your family or whether between you and your parents or at work. We all have something to share when it comes to unconscious bias. And you can share it based on the different types that we have listed. If you want me to put them up, the slides, I can put them up to help you think of the type of story that you want to share with us. That now, having listened to this, you are realizing that, oh, this I acted out of bias. Oh, someone at some point in time, this happened to me. Oh, it was out of bias. And then we will go on to discuss cultural shock bias with some real examples, at least 1 or 2. The first part is, we are not many. Dr. Benny, I think we are about 19 of us, right?
Yes, please.
Yes, for those who want to share, please share your real stories of bias in the chat and we can read them aloud. But if you are able to raise your hand and speak, Dr. Benny will allow you to share your experiences, and feel free to use any of the different types.
Could you put the types again so that they can see? By you listing an example, it will make them now to know what to say.
Yes. Okay. Let us go back. We had a good number. So,
like the name bias, cultural bias, religion bias. Oh, yes, sure. I have a lot to say.
we have, okay, age bias.
Yep.
Age bias, name bias, culture bias, language bias, gender bias, halo effect bias, Horn's effect bias, confirmation bias, affinity bias, idiosyncratic rater bias, sexual orientation bias, religious bias, contrast bias, status quo bias, anchor bias, authority bias, overconfidence, perception bias, affect heuristic bias, and then on there was also weight bias. So there are many. There are many. So choose one, just one, and share your experience. If you choose to just write a word that is related to unconscious bias, and then you tell us how, using that word, what it means to you. If you want to share a real life story about bias you experience, go ahead, share with us. We can give this session about, 5 minutes, right? And then we go discussing about culture shock bias.
Sure.
Okay.
Proceed, Queen Jacqueline Warner.
I am not sure if this is let me see, perception bias or let me see. Well, the story goes like this, and then maybe you can help me to put it in the right category, Queen
Correct.
Kanla. And first of all, awesome presentation regarding this whole topic so far. I had a situation this one is my stories from it took place at work. A new employee came on board, and I'm not sure if it was the first or second day, and she said that she perceived me as being racist. And I was trying to figure out where that came from or what made her feel that way. I don't think we never got to the bottom of it because, at work, they don't call you in and they don't try to figure out what was the problem. But I took it upon myself. I guess I used my emotional bias,
Yes.
my emotion bias, and I took control also and said that I'm not going to be anywhere where she's at. I'm not going to work on that area anymore. And every time I saw her, I was said there was a snake in my garden. Please get the pesticide. So and it went on for quite some time till I think the staff and the manager said like they couldn't take it anymore. So what I did, I went home and prayed about it and got my mind right, and I came and apologized to her, and that's how the whole thing. And then the lady said, "Oh, I love you, and I love your children," and I was like, I didn't know what went on. I mean, it never got solved, but I went ahead and been the bigger person and just apologized because I started the whole mess. I took it to a whole nother level.
Right. Okay, now, during that interaction, are there some words that you can recall that was communicated between the two of you? What are some of the things that may have been said that you started realizing, oh, this doesn't look right? Why is she saying this?
Well, like you said, I couldn't read up to this day, I still can't figure it out why the lady said that. She came into the office and I think she saw me reading a magazine, or was it our interaction with the patient that she felt that I was racist. So we never, like I said, the manager never sat us both down and figure it out. It's just that I took the situation into my own hands and held it and did it my way until I realized that it was just getting worse. It wasn't getting better. So let me
Yes,
put an end to the madness.
correct. So thank you so much for that. I think it's a combination. It's
Yeah,
the
it is.
perception, it's the emotion, and we can also say perhaps who says culture,
Culture.
the
Yeah, she didn't
differences.
understand me. Yeah, maybe she didn't understand me. So it could fall under that too.
How about language? Was she comfortable how you spoke, how you express yourself?
Yeah, that could have been something too that she's not accustomed to. So you're right. It could have been cultural because she was how you say, Caucasian. and I was colored. So maybe
Correct.
she didn't understand me. But at the end, when I
Mm-hmm.
apologized and told her, I need to speak to you, and everything squashed, she then said she loved me and she loved my kids and all that, but never got to the root of the real why did she say that? We never discussed that.
Correct, correct. But then you came out being aware that there was some bias, some form of bias being expressed
Yes.
towards you unknowingly. So then you took out of that she acted with bias towards you unconsciously.
That's how I took it. Yes, unconsciously. That's how I actually took it. And consciously, to tell you the truth, because my actions that I took.
Exactly. And so the only thing I hoped or I wish there could have been an opportunity where you have that dialogue so you can be able to express and understand better where it was coming from.
Yeah.
And
That's
that
the
is the
only.
goal. Yes, that is usually the goal where you identify the bias and then you try to do something to change it. So everyone learns from it and you become a better person as an individual, and you don't repeat the same thing all over again, whether it's towards somebody or if somebody acts towards you again.
Yeah.
Guess what? You are now in a position where to just identify and pick it up and then address it at the point or at that time. So thank you for sharing that. Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I mean, I can equally share with you a similar experience where it has a combination of all the things you've just listed: emotion, perception, culture, language. Again, at work and at church. Have you found yourself in an area where you go to church and you don't look alike like the majority of the Christians in church?
Well, I know I attended a church where it was I attended an African church. So of course they were looking different than me, but that never bothered me.
Correct. Now, a good example will be you move to a new location where predominantly is Caucasians or predominantly is Indians or predominantly, let me not use Indians, let's say Asians in
Yes.
combination, or you go to Europe and you're trying to navigate yourself. We are not saying as a human being created in God's image, we are instinctively biased, but because we learn these things.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are taught by our upbringings, our backgrounds. And sometimes even when we become adults ourselves, we still continue learning these things and then we act on them. So when you find in this case is, okay, you come, you're different in all the different forms. You speak differently, you speak a different language, you look different, you dress differently. And then you're wondering, you're trying to integrate, you're trying to associate yourself. But then the expectation is just acknowledgement, just awareness that you are different, but yet you want to commune with that congregation. But it is usually not easy the way you think, because the tendency is instinctively you're going to face these biases, right? You're going to face them intentionally or intentionally. At work, it's the same thing. Have you ever spoken to your colleague at work and your colleague turns and asks you a question? What did you say?
Yes, that happens.
The now, just in that, what did you say? It is not the question that is an issue. It is the emotions that goes behind saying, what did you say? It is the facial expressions that goes to saying, what did you say? It is the tone that goes into, what did you say? It is the way in which the passiveness in which the word is expressed to you.
Yep.
All right, another word for me, these are some of the words I wrote down. Another word they will say to you, I don't understand what you just said, or I don't understand what you're saying. Is it really that they do not understand what you are saying, or is it actually about them not putting that bias in front of them to pay attention to you, to listen to you, to get what you are trying to communicate to them? English is a universal language for those countries or people that speak English. Yes, there are variations of English, but guess what? If I am speaking English to you and you tell me I don't understand what you're saying, if
It's
I
almost
was
like an insult.
exactly, if I was speaking my native language, then I will understand that, yes, I mean, you do not get that. So those are my two examples that I wanted to use to support what you just shared as your real life experiences. All right. Yes, Dr. Benny.
Yes, I know when they say that, I don't understand you. A lot of them, I will always quote. Americans will say, you have an accent. Where you coming from? I say, you have an accent too. Oh, I just get mad. You understand? That is how, oh man, it pissed me off. Sorry. Well, another one is like gender bias, right?
Yes.
With the gender, or let me just say like age at the workplace.
Yes.
Age can be in several ways. So it can be what the perception of that candidate, which is too old, or that is very too young, or both are routed in the belief of someone who's what like inexperienced and will be unable to learn or to change their ways. You notice that older people don't want to learn when it comes to new technology. Huh? They don't want to. They just want to just sit and being lazy. So anyway, for example, employees that are with the age bias, things that their colleagues who is 30 years old, older than them, does not have good grasp when it comes to technology. So if they undertake any technical task, it has to be explained over and over and over. Likewise, the first employee also dislike their younger generation, who they perceive as being inexperienced. Remember that an example for nurses, right? When students, like, oh, let me say if I go to school as a nurse, and after my graduation, they won't hire me because they said, I don't have, there you go. That's what is happening out there. So then why did I go to school? Aren't they supposed to teach me, because I went to school for my 4 years to graduate as an RN? Oh no, because in order to be an RN, I have to pass the NCLEX, right? But even if I pass the NCLEX, remember that I just completed the school, but they wouldn't want to hire me. They say I don't have experience. My goodness, things are happening out there. It has happened. I know
But
Queen J,
Dr.
you want to say? Go ahead, proceed.
Well, Dr. Benny, on the opposite of saying that you don't have experience, now when you gain the experience, they tell you you're overqualified. So
Because I already have the degree and they don't have the degree. You see what I mean? Hold on. Let me give you an example. Okay. After my bachelor's degree, you make me to understand that we should say something from our own
Yes.
experience. Okay, good.
Yes.
After my bachelor's degree, I did an internship. Thank God. Whatever I'm saying today, any of you guys, if you have children, make sure that before they graduate, let them go for internship. If they don't go to internship, a lot of people nowadays, they don't have jobs after their graduation because they did not do their internship. I did mine. My first internship was with DC government, Department of Immunization. So after 6 months of internship, because of my behavior, I calmed down. I respected people. Hey, you gotta respect, and you have to take all the nonsense, you know? Oh, you gotta take it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What did you say, ma'am? That is how you have to behave. Now, remember, despite the fact that I have the degree, at the end, they gave me a job anyway. But guess what? I was making 24,000. The following year, same 24,000. But my people, my bosses who had no education were making a lot of money. Isn't that bias? This is real, people. Now, like I said, that is why I keep telling people that attend webinars, because when you attend webinars, you learn new ways. You learn things because being a parent, advise your children, place internship is important.
Yep.
Let me be quiet at the moment because we have a lot to say, but we don't have the time. Thank
Correct. Oh my goodness, you just gave a beautiful example, Dr. Benny. Thank you so much. All right, do we have any in the chat? If not, I know we will come back to part 2, because we cannot exhaust all of this today. So yes, if there's anything in the chat, let us read, and if there's anyone who wants to share again, then we can give that a chance, and then if not, then we can move on to the next. And so feel free to use the questions which I have on the screen to help you as you reflect on what you want on what you want to say. I did not mention that earlier on. I mean, it's the same, it's just the same. By you identifying where it came from, what type, is it for at work or within the family?
To tell the truth, I have a lot from one bias to another. When it
We
comes to
cannot.
religion, when it comes to,
Yes.
gender bias, you know that a woman cannot be a president in the United States, period.
That will be a whole part series on its own, Dr. Benny. That will be a whole part series on its own. So there is no contributions in the chat. Okay, all right then.
No, proceed, please.
Thank you so much for the participation. Let us now have a breakdown what we talk about cultural shock bias or culture bias. Culture bias. What has been your experience of others judging you because of who you are, your identity, what you do, how you speak, what you eat? I can say I had my American cultural shock, which at that time, to me, I was so naive that I did not even realize that that is what was going on. But with time, I came to understand that, wow, that was just bias, human bias. Where you come, in addition to some of the experiences that we have heard and shared, you come from any other country but for Europe, know that you are subjected to going back and starting your life all over, right? Whether it's seeking for a job, whether it's going to education, how often have we come with qualifications that are way greater than anyone here? How often do they ask you to go and recertify your certificates before you are even integrated into the system? And even when you go, you come here with a 4-year university degree. There are organizations within the United States that do not even understand how to do evaluations of foreign certificates, to the extent that they fail to evaluate your foreign certificate. Instead of giving you a full college credit, they rate you less than a full college credit. And what does that do to you? You see how bias comes in. Unintentionally, not knowing, and yet it takes a long while before you can recover or get out of it. But then the negative impact on you and what you are doing at that point already happens. But imagine if this was not there. It would have been a positive experience. It would have been something good and better. That was one of the cultural shock. You coming from there and you getting here. Even your dressing. Trust me, when you dressed beautifully, but using your cultural fabric or garb, you get all the compliments, right? But sometimes not all of the compliments actually comes from a good place. And so you will experience that, okay, someone, or like you go to events or you go to church, they'll compliment, oh, I like your dress, it's beautiful. And then the questions that start coming, where did you bring the dress? How was it made? What do you do? It's like, and you're asking, okay, nothing wrong with that. You can tell them it's your cultural fabric. You came with it from wherever your ethnicity is. This is a symbolism. But guess what? When you start telling them what it is or the significance or the importance, if on like the African fabric, where we want to tell them there are some symbols, there are some non-verbal communications that is expressed through the African dressing that we all carry. And yet, when you wear it to somewhere, it becomes a judgment over you. You are evaluated and you are judged. And in some cases, in professional environment, you are not welcome to come with that. Have you ever wondered, why don't we have African dressing in professional settings? Why is it not allowed? Because we have adopted the Western culture of professionalism. Is there anything wrong with us wearing our ethnic dresses?
Nope.
Does it make any difference? Does it make any difference if we dress decently? Does it Is it a barrier to us in our productivity at workplace?
No, but I think
So
you have
then
to make a stand.
why is the preference European, Western, and that is what is the expectation, right? That is what is the expectation. And so even sometimes now you say, oh no, you cannot wear it. You cannot wear it because then it is not perceived as the appropriate dressing. Yes. There are some corporate areas, there are some businesses that will not allow you come dress like that. Yeah. In corporate America, no.
Wow.
There are some businesses you cannot. So personally, I had that as a culture shock.
Wow.
Yes. And then think about, okay, let's go even to your food. You take your food, you've prepared your food, you take it with you, you are at work and you're eating your food. What sort of compliments do you get when you open your food and you're eating, or what sort of comments do you get as feedback when you're eating your food? And these things are done unconsciously because of, it could be their perception, their background, how they were raised, or is because it could be because of this, their religious belief, what you eat and versus what I eat, right? It could be just gender.
Yeah.
So any of these is, you see the intersectionality. It's like they at any point in time, it's a combination of each that happens to you. And the question becomes, do you realize them? Are you aware to recognize them? Do you recognize the pattern? Do you recognize the way in which it is expressed towards you? And vice versa when you do it to somebody else, right? At home, with your children, between parents, what would the children tell you? Mama, you are old. This time has changed. we no longer do things this way, right? And technology. Benny used a good example with technology at work. How about technology at home? Parents and the children, what happens to them? Right? And they will laugh at you at some point. You know, that is a fun part. But at home, it becomes fun. But then sometimes they'll say, oh no, but then, yes, you cannot catch up to the rate at which things are changing. Technology is changing. You cannot go back and learn all of the things that will need for you to be able to meet up with them. But sometimes the children do it in such a way that it starts expressing itself, then being biased to the fact that you are of the older generation.
Yeah.
Right? You are of the older generation and they are of the younger generation. And they will not agree with you. They will not see with you. They will not, sometimes will not even want to compromise with you. Exactly. So the culture between the older generation and the younger generation, we see that we experience it at home and work in everything we do. So
well, I know with my children, excuse me, Queen Kanla, with my children, they will force me to learn how to do, you know, well, mommy, this is how you do it. So they will teach me how to do it. So I am really grateful for that, instead of laughing at me because my kids range, some is in the 80s, so they still a little old school, so they have a little compassion for me. to help me out. So I am grateful. So they will teach me. So, mommy, you have to learn how to do it. And it's the truth, as the as an old as an elder or whatever they want to say, we have to learn so we can keep up with what's going on. We might not get to do everything, but at least know the basic how to help ourselves.
Absolutely. And the goal is not for you to do everything, because no one can do everything. You can just,
You're
you
so
take the
right.
call, you take those that are close to you, or those that you leave your principles, you interact with, and hey, you deal with it. All right. So that will be it for me, but I see Dr. Doris's hand raised. Yes. Dr. Doris.
Dr. Doris, please unmute yourself and share us your excitement about this topic. Dr. Doris, unmute. Queen
Is she
Kanla?
able to unmute?
No. I
Okay.
tried.
Or maybe the host needs to give them the permission.
Well, I unmuted her so she can go ahead. Unmute. Unmute yourself, Dr. Doris.
Yeah.
She asked.
Proceed.
Am I
please.
on?
Yes, you
Yes.
are
Yes.
on.
Yes.
I'm just laughing at the background. Now even our grandchildren are teaching us the technology. And you even forget yourself, say, I need some drink. You just rise up and go fast, run to bring the drink so that they can continue to teach you. It's so interesting. Our grandchildren even know more and they are teaching us. Thank you so much, my dear.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. We appreciate it.
You just obey them. You just go for the drink. You just go and get them some water to drink and sit by them to teach you. Cool. I see.
Yes, yes.
Beautiful. Yeah.
That
It's their
encourages them.
generation. Yeah.
Mhm. It encourages them.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, so that brings us to the end of our presentation today. And if we have any more questions, we can ask for the next part series. And if you want us to discuss the next part series, if you have any preference, I don't mind, let me know, and we can prepare for the next one to talk about. So we can dive in more deep and address some questions that you may have. If you send some questions, then we can have a conversation. So thank you all, and back to you, the moderator.
Great. Thank you so much, Queen Kanla. My goodness. To tell the truth, I think I need you back next week for the continuation of this bias. Because remember, when it comes to dressing bias, I will say, if you are the owner of any business and you want me to come and purchase any product, when you are presenting or trying to demonstrate, right? Or you're trying to model about the products for me to come and purchase. If you're not well dressed, don't expect me to come home. I will not. I don't care if you are knowledgeable. You got to dress and prove to me that this is your business. Anyway, we have more to talk next week, especially
Yes.
when it comes to dressing bias.
Yes, we can actually take two different types put together and have a conversation. Two or three, yes, to cover
Thank
the
you.
rest of the session.
This is awesome. I mean, I think we should just, when you have time, because we have a lot of biases. Remember, we talk about that gender bias.
Yes.
Oh, yes. We have to talk more about all those things. Religion bias. I mean, one of the reasons why, never mind, let me not talk about religion bias at the moment. But I want to really take this moment to thank you. Thank you for taking your time to come and teach us. You're making us to you're installing knowledge into us. Unfortunately, those who are not here, but you guys can still listen when the time arises, when Dr. Derrick is ready. But thank you all. All right, at this moment, before we hand it over to Queen Dr. Nadu, I need Queen JW to please give me your closing remarks. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. My closing remarks. Thank you so much, Queen Dr. Benny. And thank you, Queen Kanla, for this amazing presentation. And thank you, brand ambassadors, for your participation and your support. My closing remarks. We know I don't have to convince you about the facts. I don't have to convince you that the food that we eat is not correct. I don't have to convince you that you need to read your labels. I don't have to convince you that we are highly toxic individuals, all of us, the entire earth, because of the chemicals, because of the pollution, because of the things we use. You know, some things we have control of and some things we don't have control of. But what we have control of, we need to take we need to take charge of it. And we need to really consider our health, because a lot of our brothers and sisters, family, loved ones is going home immaturely. And it's because of bad choices that we make. Some of it we were not aware. But like they say, when you know better, you do better. If something is bad, you can't make it good. When you bake a cake and it didn't come out right, you can't fix it. If the medication is no good and you know it's no good and you decide to take it, that's your choice. Like everything is choice. Let's start making good choices when it comes to our health, when it comes to every aspect of our life. Number one, the FDA is not there for us. They're supposed to be. The FTC is not there for us. The drug companies and the food industry is not there for us. It's all about themselves. It's all about the money. It's all about the profit. And we cannot trust in something that don't care about us. I think the only person that we could actually trust in is God. There's nobody else that we can trust in. I mean, besides our CEO that we've been trusting in, because he is about eliminating corruption. Because the same things that I'm talking about is the same things he's going to overthrow. We're going to help him to do that. And that's why we're in ONPASSIVE, because of what our CEO stands for. And the people who have collaborated with him to join him on this journey, they also see the vision to turn this corruption around, so our children can have clean water. Our children can grow up to be citizens of this amazing earth. You know, they don't have to be sickly. Children are being born into this earth, onto this planet with cancer. Where did it come from? Most likely, it had to come from the parents on what they ate, on what they drank, unaware. They were not knowledgeable because everything was hidden from us. We were being deceived and we're being lied to. It's time to turn the tables around. It's time for us to become the best health advocate of ourselves. And we can do so by educating each other and helping each other along the way. Don't keep the information for yourself. Pass it along. I gave so much information and I went into details as much as I can so you can understand. It wasn't just throw it at you and you figure it out. I gave the information, what you shouldn't use, what you should use. But it's up to you to do your research. It's time for you to take charge and take your health into your hands. So I thank you so much and just have a beautiful rest of the evening. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And see you next week. Don't know what the topic will be.
Thank you. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. You're welcome.
I really appreciate your closing remarks. And I know you'll be back next week because health is very important to each and everyone. Despite the fact that you say we should not eat this, Sister Kanla, I like my Maggi, but they don't want me to eat Maggi. They don't want me to eat shrimp or njanga. So me, I don't know what to do. But thank you so much, Queen JW.
You're welcome.
All right.
Just eat God food, okay? Just eat God food and you'll be good to go.
Queen Kanla, are you ready for your closing remarks? Thank you.
All right, Queen Sister Benny, First Lady of ONPASSIVE, yes. My closing remarks is going to be that as human children of God, we are born in His own image, in our uniqueness. We are pure, we are good, but we all carry that form of bias in us. And how do we get to know that at this moment, I am being biased? Unconsciously, consciously, voluntarily, or not, or involuntarily, intentional or not. The only way we get to know is by opening up ourselves to the awareness of knowing when your actions crosses that threshold of being biased, where you start seeing the negative impact on the person, the next person to whom you're interacting with. Or maybe you can also be aware to the point that you see it being done towards you. Because if you are not able to recognize that this is bias, then it becomes difficult for us to have genuine interactions, genuine relationships, and be able to help the next person close to you to learn from their biases, transform themselves on a daily basis within your family and at work. I'll use an example between within the family, between siblings, and then you tell me that it doesn't have some aspects of bias, or does it? And I'm sure most of us within our families, we have experienced it. You have your siblings. All of you are going to school, right? Every day is joy, happiness. Everybody goes to school. Elementary or pre-K, elementary, and you go to college. Pre-K, elementary, everything is all good. But by the time you see them start becoming into middle school or getting into the high school, what do you start see between them? Competition. Or sometimes you start seeing them start exchanging certain words that sometimes you listen to the siblings in between them and you're wondering, what made you do that? What do you think is behind them changing that behavior? In my own experience, and this was after the fact, I'm not saying I understood it at that time. I'm only understanding now after doing some self-reflection, because then you come to realize that as siblings grow, everybody starts to recognize their potential. You start recognizing where you are good, and you also recognize where your sibling is good. And then, for no reason, sometimes you just bring this competition between you all. And this person starts saying, I am better, or I am the one who should be the better. And there is nothing in fair competition between siblings. But where it crosses that line, that threshold of it becoming biased, is when you use that competition and it starts negatively impacting your siblings. And then before you know it, it results to a situation where you get into a fight, or a situation where you start throwing things at each other, or you get into a situations where you no longer communicate, or it even gets into a situation where you cannot even sit close to each other again. Why? Because you feel you must be the important one, or you think you are the favorite. But you're failing to see that it is your bias that is in front of you, for you failing to also recognize the potential of your sibling. You're acting out of emotion, you're acting out of perception, you're acting out of gender, right? For a girl child and a boy child, a girl and a boy, there will always be that. And it becomes a gray area where they don't even realize when the real thing actually now starts manifesting as bias. And so in this case, there was a point where I truly remember where I was like, really? Why should I be competing with you? You are my sister, you are my brother. What are we competing for? If I pass my exams, I pass. If both of us pass, we go to college. College is college, and we'll go to the same college. So why should there be infighting between us? Oh, I need to be the one at the top. Oh, you need to be the one at the bottom. Hey, are you not happy that both of us are succeeding? Is it you rising to the top that is more important? And why should it always be you? Yes. Okay. Are you even open up to the fact that, okay, this year you may be the one who does better, right? That is fair. But next time I may be the one who will do better than you. So, but then when I do better than you, or when somebody else does better than you fail to recognize, you fail to appreciate their success, you even fail to compliment their achievement. That is where bias comes in. Because you are seeing them from the lens of only me, mine. No longer you, or no longer us. That is implicit bias you are expressing. And are you aware? And is that something you want to keep doing? Because eventually it will continue to impact some people negatively. And at some point in time, someone may need to point that out to you, that no, your actions are not really out of, from a good place, but sometimes this is the impact it creates. And that is why sometimes you find some people who haven't had that experience, they become shy, they become withdrawn. They will not be confident enough, right? It beats down self-esteem. Some people may just want to stay in the background. When fairness goes to the level where it becomes unfair, it negatively impacts the next person, that action, your behavior, your character is directed towards. And so if we all we come to the realization that, okay, when it gets to that point and you realize that, oh, this is now my bias being expressed towards somebody, you take the action. You stand up, you rise, and you correct, and you reach out to the next person and tell them, I apologize, that was my bias. And you help them, elevate them, help them get them out. So thank you. Back to you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Queen Kanla. I really appreciate your closing remarks. Some of the wordings that you said, it touches my heart, and it is something that has transpired in my environment when it comes to education, showing off that you are at the top. You don't want, you are my sister, and you don't want me to have something. You just want me to just stay down and you to be at the top. So they'll say, oh, yeah, Queen Kanla is this. Thank you, Queen Kanla. No, for real, you have really touched my heart. And Queen JW, the food, health is important. We need that. People who are not happy that we are talking about health is their problem. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I will hand it over to Queen Dr. Nadu. I need Dr. Derrick to, is Dr. Derrick around?
To close the YouTube channel.
Yes, please.
I'm not sure if he even put it on, but you could
Oh,
how would
okay.
you know it's on? I could go and check on my phone.
Oh, never mind. It's just recording. If we can, he can stop the recording, that's fine.
All right.
Yes. I
Well, you can
appreciate.
say something.
Oh, thank you. I really want to take this special moment to thank our presenter for tonight and our mindset, Queen JW. Thank you all for this amazing presentation. We all need this. We seriously need this. Bias and health. There are a lot of biases, and I have a lot to say. And it's making people to understand. I know that I was expecting Queen Kumaran to say something about a bias. Remember, I said something about bias when I gave him an example that in database administrators in United States, the Indians, they are in charge. So they will hire only Indians. They will not hire us because I went there. I'm telling the truth. So, hey, that's bias. There are a lot of them that I can, religions and the rest. But I just want to thank you all, right? Thank you so much. Queen Kanla, you know, you will continue just like Queen JW has been doing. We have like 600 biases. So you will come every week with more and more. Queen JW and Queen Dr. Doris, health is what we need. And you guys understand that Brother Jeffrey also came and talked about health. Yes. If you guys have friends and they are lonely, let them come and attend deep dive. Deep dive. We are here to learn from each other. Thank you all. I appreciate you.